Hey guys, welcome back to Queen Ocean with Chris on. Today we're going to be talking about Who Stole My Pension, the book by Robert Kiyosaki. This book is more orientated to people who are either entering retirement, are in retirement, and basically the trials and tribulations and actual misconduct that is happening currently right now within your pension or specifically superannuation funds. See, a solution to the looming retirement crisis is happening, and this is what this book is about. So more often than not, currently they reckon by 2050, retirees are going to be at 2 billion, which is 3 times more than what it was in 2000. So inevitably, more and more people are going to be a part of the retirement bracket, which is above the age of 60. And of course, we're generally looking like we're going to be living for longer. So retirement is going to either be a larger period for us or a shorter, depending on how it is that we manage our money. Nowadays, people are becoming too frail to work and too poor to retire. When it comes to mismanagement of investments, there is gross malpractice that is practiced, and the primary reasons are from basically the companies and the health of the person. So how is it that you make sure that you set this up, make sure that you're in a position that when you do enter retirement, you are in the right positions? Well, first of all, if you're not entering retirement right now, there is still time. It is suggested that with enough hard work, 2 to 3 years, you can definitely set yourself up for a correct retirement if you look towards developing a passive income. So if you don't know what a passive income is, it's basically it's money that comes in consistently regardless of you working or not. Very similar to a pension, the difference is it's business orientated versus savings and people investing your money rather than you doing it yourself. Now, to first understand passive, you have to understand active. So there are always only ever 2 types. An active income is where you basically consistently work for the money that you come in. You do want to trade your time and you get paid for it directly. That's the way it works. Passive is, like I said, just going to consistently come in. Now, you set it up either through an investment of money previously towards retirement or an investment of time. There are multiple ways that you go into it. I highly suggest if you're not entering retirement right now, to not basically hit this problem that is inevitably coming if you don't work smarter instead of essentially harder. You definitely read books like The Cash Flow Culture by Robert Kiyosaki or definitely Rich Dad Poor Dad. It highlights the differences and the best way to work in order to make sure that this problem doesn't happen. However, if you're an individual that is entering retirement or you're coming to that later stages or you're a part of it already, these are some of the things that are happening when it comes to the mismanagement of your superannuation or pension. First of all, these are the 3 reasons why it fails. So the first one is money in. How much goes in? Generally speaking, it's not enough. In order for if you are 100% relying on your pension or superannuation fund, not enough is generally coming in to sustain a enjoyable lifestyle when you hit retirement. In fact, most of the time, it's a restricted, minimalistic lifestyle. Second, money invested. How is it the pot, like the money that's in the investment or pension or superannuation, is it being managed? Chances are they're probably not. Most people have seen that people who are head of these funds, of superannuation funds, are not exactly experienced investors. In fact, they're generally first time. Why? Because it's very simplistic and easy to get into the investments. It's low risk, very high reward for them, but it's high cost and low reward for you. So making sure that you identify which fund that you're with and basically maybe some malpractices that go with it and identifying which one that you want to be with long term. Finally, money out. How much money is invested? Now, these are the 3 problems, and the 3 ways that you solve it is legitimately by doing the opposite of what the 3 is. So money in, obviously you want to put more in. That's the simplest way, most simplistic way. It's not the best, most simplistic way of dealing with your superannuation or pension. Number 2, money invested. Make sure that your crowdfunding, whatever it is that you're in part of the superannuation fund, pension fund, whatever you want to call it, is one that you abide with, is one that basically puts priority towards the pensioner first rather than their profits, because many of these organizations are all about legitimately gambling your money as much as possible in order to get the highest risk. Because if you understand how it works is, let's say you put $1,000 in and they invest or gamble that $1,000 and they make $1 million, you will only ever see $1,000. You will never get back what it is that is invested for most of these funds. However, if you do your research, there are a few that give back to the money that they invested, which is absurd, specifically here in Australia. The third one is money out. You obviously want to limit the money that's coming out of your superannuation or pension fund. That's an obvious one. So these are the 3 simple ways in order to solve it. Now, outside of that, if any one of the above is out of place, then the pension will fail or the superannuation will fail. If the money is mismanaged, it doesn't matter how much you put in there. If it's mismanaged, it will disappear. If you don't put enough in there, then there's not enough to invest, then it will disappear. If you basically take too much, of course it's going to disappear. So you have to look towards having a balance between all 3, putting them in place if this is the exact number 1 reason that you're relying on or a person who's already entered retirement. So first of all, the solution is by solving all 3. That's the first thing that you need to understand. So, let's talk about the crowdfunding and the superannuation fund itself. The people who are overwatching your money, this is generally their first time experiencing investing. So that's what our studies have shown. The majority of the superannuation funds, especially seeing it's such a reasonably new concept in Australia, a lot of people are looking towards moving into it, and they're not necessarily knowing exactly the ideas of how it comes to investing. So what you want to do, the first things first, is invest your fund. Understand what it is that it represents, understand where it is that the money is primarily invested in. You have to do a little bit of research, you have to do a little bit of understanding. If you're a low-tech individual because you might be entering retirement at an older age, that's understandable. Ask for help. But the number one thing you want to do is be informed on the company that is investing your money. That obviously makes sense. If you gave $10,000 to your son or your daughter, you'd obviously know what they're wanting to spend it on. You don't just want to give it to them for free. Well, if you're going to do without your family, why would you not do that with your own money yourself? Understand, get information on the fund that is investing your money. See what they represent, see what they're looking into, and the returns that they've already made on the money that you're investing. If you don't like it, change funds. That's what I'd 100%. Also, funds generally have hidden fees. More often than not, there are hidden fees that don't disclose to you or disclose in a not very convenient manner to make sure that they get away with it. Most of these fees can be watered away as long as you communicate with the fund or switch towards a new one. So make sure that you're on top of it. Remember, this is your retirement, this is your life, this is your sole income and your life's work that is being invested without you knowing. You want to make sure that you get the best out of all of your life's 50 years of hard work, making sure that it doesn't go to waste. The next one is that pensions lie about, if you're worried about your funds and you do feel as if you're in a basically a situation where you might be getting taken advantage of, invest in an internet crowdfunded superannuation funding site. They exist. There are a bunch of people who are willing to look and do in-depth dives in towards the funds, in towards the companies to make sure that your money isn't being mismanaged. It is worth investing however much it costs, anywhere between $1,000 to maybe $2,000, especially if your superannuation is within the six-figure range. What is $2,000 down to make sure that you don't lose six figures? So put towards these, if you are genuinely worried, look towards doing research yourself. If you can't, look towards internet funding. There's basically organizations that are willing to do the work for you to make sure that you're staying on top of your pension. Finally, doing nothing, sitting back, relying and having confidence on your check is a risk in itself. This is your life's income. You don't want it to go to waste. Make sure that you're staying on top of it. So to summarize, a lot of superannuation funds, they are dodgy. Most people mismanage their money, especially if you work multiple different jobs across your career, because chances are that you have multiple superannuations that are occurring at the moment with multiple different funds that all have their own fees. And on top of that, because of their hidden fees, you might be unnecessarily losing money of your hard-earned cash. So making sure that you also align it into one can negotiate and negate that unnecessary amount of fees. But on top of that, remember there are a lot of hidden ones. Finally, money in, money out, money invested. These are the three aspects to a superannuation fund. You want to make sure that you get the best that you can do for yourself and the fund can do for you. When that combination works, your pension and superannuation is also going to occur. Finally, if you're not a person that's individually in this situation at the moment, look towards managing your money first. You're not in your superannuation. Don't rely on these types of pensions. Don't rely on these superannuations. Right? If you rely to someone else or rely towards these, then chances are you might be not running into this situation yourself. If you look towards sorting up your own sort of personal income, personal consistent income stream before these types of trusts occur, then you're obviously going to avoid the huge crisis that is eventually going to come up. So in the world today, we're already experiencing a lot of money shortages. The way that you don't do that is the way that doesn't affect you negatively as much as anyone else is by making sure you work smarter and invest smarter. Look towards making your money make moves for you. When you profit, that's what you spend. Invest whatever time you can to investments that are going to get a consistent return. Don't look towards just trading your time when you can invest it and consistently get money in. I highly suggest you look at some of the other books that Robert Kiyosaki is talking about, whether it's Rich Dad Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant. He breaks down so many different types of business models, so many different ways to make your money work, make your time work, especially within the business of the 21st century. I definitely think you look into it. There's 100% more ways and beneficial ways to ensure that with a lower risk than whatever a superannuation fund is trying to do to generate you money. If you don't want to leave your money up to chance, then look towards investing it yourself. Get ideas, get informed. Always understand what is happening with your money. It's your hard-earned cash. There's decades upon decades of work that has been developed here that is just being thrown down the drain unnecessarily. There's been studies showing that so many people lose half of what is meant to be in their superannuation because of mismanagement of money. If that was your own money and you just had a bank account there that was disappearing, of course you would stop it. Of course you wouldn't let it happen. Well, the thing is, this is your money. This is your money that is legitimately being mishandled. So do what you can to make sure that it's handled properly. Anyways, guys, that's it for Quick Notes with Croissant on Who Stole My Pension by Robert Kiyosaki. I highly suggest you read the book in full because there's so many other aspects and things that you can raise concerns for about your personal income, especially if you already do have concerns. So I highly suggest you do go back and read it. But other than that, guys, don't stop there. Keep looking towards putting yourself in a better improvement for success, putting yourself in a better position. I'll see you guys in the next one.